Hello and welcome to Fine is a Four-Letter Word. My guest today is Joanne Thompson, and I am eager to hear your story and have you share your story with the Fine is a Four-Letter Word audience. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Laurie. I'm excited to be here. I'm definitely keen to share my story because if it helps somebody else on their journey, then that'd be fantastic.
I am also very excited because you have the honor of being my first guest from the UK.
Woohoo! Really?
Yes. Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I was going to say first guest from outside the United States, but that's not true because I had somebody from who is lives in the Bahamas. But
Wow.
UK, first one.
I'm honoured. Thank you.
Let's start out with the question of how you were raised and what were the beliefs that were instilled in you as you were growing up that contributed to making you who you've become.
Oh, that's a really good question. Beliefs. There's so many, isn't there? There's so many that you grow up because of what society is telling you, because what your favourite teacher at school tells you, what your parents tell you. And it's hard to make your own mind up about things, isn't it? So there is definitely, we grow up with a lot of sort of unconscious bias, as it were, that you're not aware of until you start getting a little bit older.
Right.
I think one of my,
so looking back, what was it? Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the key beliefs, I think, was if you work hard, you'll do well in life. So just keep working hard. And I do think that's true, but there's also something about work hard, but also be intentional about how you work and work smart, not just keep working and slogging your guts out all the time to get somewhere. Because not everybody will recognise or appreciate all that hard work, so you need to find the people that do. And that's what I've learned over my sort of working career is, I've always worked hard. I've always been proud of the job that I've got and how I perform, but it didn't always get noticed. So that was something that I wish I'd kind of had that insight a little bit as I was going along, that it's not just about getting your head down, doing all the stuff and trying to get everything that you want that way, because it's not quite like that. I do believe you have to work for everything. I don't believe that it just gets handed to you on a plate, although probably some people are in that position and that's fortunate for them, but not everybody. And if you want something, you have to be determined and you have to go out and get it. So I think that was really important growing up. Was I saw my stepdad, he worked all the hours God sends in, we used to have a bakery when I was younger, and he was up at ridiculous o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning at work, went home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, went to bed at 9, back up, and he did that for 7 years. So that's where I learned that, you just work hard, keep working at it.
Was he successful?
So the business was reasonably successful, yeah. I mean, it kept a roof over our heads and, we had a reasonable lifestyle. But yeah, it was exhausting. It was absolutely exhausting. They couldn't go away very much on holiday or anything like that. We didn't have loads of savings in the pot for things if it went wrong, or, we lived quite a fairly, average, humble life, I suppose. But yeah, now I realise that actually, he really enjoyed it and he loved that, but it didn't pay particularly well. But he did work incredibly hard and he was very good at it. So yes, that's one of the key things that I've learned, really.
Yeah.
And I think some of the other beliefs that I grew up with were more around, women are more servers of the men in their lives. It's kind of, my mum she worked in the shop, or she worked at the big Marks and Spencers, which I'm hoping you all know over in the
yes
States. So she worked there, and she didn't have any high level jobs. It was more of assistant jobs and things like that. She wasn't career orientated. my sister sort of went to catering college and did various different jobs in the sort of leisure industry, and then ended up working for the police as a civilian support. So it was kind of, whilst we kind of grew up, I kind of grew up with traditional beliefs that, my mum cooked in an evening, she did the washing, she did the ironing, my grandma did the same. We were all there to look after the men in our lives, and they went out to work. And I kind of ended up in a group of friends that was like, no, we're not doing that. There's more to life than this. I wasn't particularly interested in kids, or I just wanted, to go out and work. I just loved working. And whether that's because I started work when I was 11 when we had the shop, and it started giving me funds, not very many funds, but, I started getting a little bit of independence, and I just thought,
sure.
I saw all these things out in the world that I wanted to do and see. And I thought, well, I need money for that. So, I need to go
So
out
then
and do something.
how did, once you decided that's what you wanted to do, you didn't want to just be in a support role, that you wanted to actually have a career. We talked about you trained as an accountant.
Yep, I did, yes.
How did you choose that? Was that your first choice?
Yeah, well, do you know, originally I wanted to work in a bank because I remember telling my grandma I wanted to work in a bank, and I was obsessed with counting my pocket money. I don't know why. And I used to lend my sister money. So
You were a banker before you, okay.
So I wanted to work in a bank, and I actually did some work experience at school in a bank. So that's where I was intending to go, but I think I was influenced by some friends at school, and they said, well, why don't you, if you like sort of numbers, working numbers, why don't you think about accountancy? So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up going to university, got a degree in accountancy and business, and then went on to do professional accounting. But I went on to work in a building society, which is sort of now similar to a bank. And then I worked in a bank. So I did that, but I did it as an accountant, not as a sort of anybody counting money on the in the shops or in the shop front sort of thing.
Sure.
But I was still counting money. I was still putting time deposits on in the markets. I was settling certificates of deposit and things like that in the back office, and I was doing banking and making, £1 million worth of transfers, £500 million transfers sometimes. So I kind of really liked that, and I was really excited by that, the thought of the money, but not necessarily earning loads of money, but when you're
right.
training. But
you were working with it.
Yeah, I was working with it, and I was working with numbers, which I quite enjoyed. So
and
so
then
I was very intentional about where I chose to do, where to start working.
Yeah, and when we did our conversation beforehand, you were talking about some of the difficulties of working in that industry because it was so male dominated. Tell us a little bit about that.
Where do I start with that one? So yeah.
I mean, did you realize that before you went into it?
No.
Was it something that showed up? How quickly did you realize, hey, I'm the minority here?
Yeah, I mean, when I worked in the kind of I worked in a treasury department, so I worked in the back office to start with, and there was some women in there, and that was okay. And we were all doing really decent jobs, but the traders, they were out at the front desk, and it wasn't until we had a young trader that came in, and he'd only just joined, and he was training really, and we had to get a certain delivery to them really early in the morning so they could make their decisions on what they were going to invest and various other things. And I went in, and the systems were down. We had real problems, and honestly, we were working like crazy to get, because we knew the importance of it. And I went out and I said, right, I've got the numbers. This is what it is. We think it's and I went out and explained it all, and he just went, you're just such an idiot. He says, why on earth have you been, so late with all this? You've lost me a deal. And he started kind of laying into me, and I was thinking, well, hang on a minute. I've worked really hard here. We've all been in that office trying to get these numbers out. We know how important. I don't need you, who was probably a similar age to me, but newer into the department, giving me a hard time for this. And I was just like, And then you kind of get the others, you see other men behaving in the office and you think, I don't really like that. I don't really they all seem to have the most senior positions. They kind of talk down to women a lot. They probably didn't do it intentionally. Some of them were a bit flirtatious, should I say. And I wasn't used to that either. I didn't come from a touchy-feely family or, we weren't big on hugs and stuff like that. So it was kind of, sometimes they were in your personal space and I didn't like that either. And as I progressed working through the bank and things like that, it wasn't as transparent in the bank, but when I moved into the insurance industry and a finance function within there, it became even more transparent. And even though companies have got these policies in place nowadays to try and combat, sexism and treating people unfairly and things like that, it's still happening, and I'm still getting stories of comments that are made which are really kind of truly annoying. One girl who worked with me, she said, I'm getting married. I said, oh, fantastic, that's great. Where you going on your honeymoon? When you get married? Oh, that's amazing. She sort of worked with me on a women's network that I was helping to run at that point when I first joined, and she says, oh, I'm glad you've had that reaction. It's really positive because my boss has just said to me, oh, now you're going to get married, you're going to go off and have children, then you're going to want to come back and work part-time, and then all the rest of us have to work even harder because you want to have your cake and eat it.
Wow.
And I'm like,
how is
this? That's crazy. Why?
Yeah, all this sensitivity training obviously not making a difference.
No, definitely not. And the funny thing is, I don't even know if I can have kids. What if he'd said that and I couldn't have kids? And how annoying would that have been? How upsetting would that have been? And then more recently, I've just some of the language that she used, some of the big decisions sometimes are taken out of meetings and done behind closed doors. So you get into a meeting, you think you've got a chance to say your opinion, and the decisions are already being taken. You get people, particularly men, who are very competitive, and it's all about the status. It's all about the next role. It's not about, they want a team that works well for them to get them their next move.
Yeah.
And I've just seen that so many times. And it's just disappointing. There's just so many things that in this day and age now, I expect you kind of, because of, I started 28 years ago in the banking industry, and you kind of think, yeah, all right, but I'm still seeing that now. I'm still hearing stories from people that is happening now, and that just shouldn't. People are not getting a fair chance in the workplace to have the life they want. And so I'm seeing women shut down. I'm seeing women believe that they can't do things, not allowed to do things, that they need permission to, just ask for some basic, rights that the men have got.
It's interesting that this is still going on in this, in 2021, that women still need to, or feel like they need to ask permission, that they need to work, again, going back to your thing you learned about working harder to prove themselves, but they're still not being invited to the secret meetings. They're still not getting to have the input that they need to be having. And it's to the detriment of the companies, but the companies don't even see how much better they could do if they had everyone at the table contributing.
Yeah, definitely.
And we were talking too about how you work you took this, I need to work hard theory and applied it, and it still didn't yield you what you wanted, what you would have expected from the work that you were doing. And then you had also told me about something, so you were working hard even when your health was at risk.
Yeah, definitely. So I worked in a department where it was a daily operation, and I managed a lot of the systems, and we invariably had lots and lots of problems with them. So even though I decided I went back for full time after my second child to a new company, to an insurance company, and I decided eventually, I asked if I could have flexi time and could I work 4 days, and but I ended up working 5 days in 4. Then on the Friday when I didn't work because the systems were so problematic, I was constantly on the phone. Because I was the manager, I was kind of constantly on the phone to the IT department, asking them to fix things. I was constantly trying to help the team figure out how to solve their problems. You know, I worked weekends because we had to do all our system upgrades on a weekend. So, and then I was kind of, I got to the point where I wanted to kind of, I thought, I don't feel great. I don't feel fantastic. But I kept going. You know, my home life was really busy. My husband was on shifts. I had 2 girls. One swam all the time. So I was constantly, and 2 dogs, and constantly backwards and forwards, you know, working really hard at work and working really hard at home, because sometimes my husband wasn't even there 2 nights a week. So I had all that to manage as well, and be expected to be in at 8:30 in the morning and leave at 6 o'clock at night. So it was just chaotic. And then I suffered a pulmonary embolism,
Wow.
so a blood clot on the lung. I ended up in hospital for 9 days, I think, and it took me a good 3 months to get over it. And I have never been so scared in all my life. It was just awful, the whole thing. I was having like hyperventilating. I was having moments where I didn't know where I was, and this happened whilst my husband was driving us home. It kicked in over the weekend because I started getting pains in my chest, and we were camping, but we borrowed my mum's touring caravan.
Okay.
So we had the caravan on the back, we had 2 dogs in the back, I had 2 young kids in the back, and we were driving home, and my arms were going everywhere, I was hyperventilating, and my husband went, can we just get home and just drop everything, and then I'll try and sort something out. And it's like, we didn't know what was going on, we didn't know why I was doing this, it was just so weird. And anyway, eventually I ended up in hospital for 10 days, and and that I went through a stage of not wanting to sleep for 6 months because I was scared that I would die if I fell asleep.
Oh
And then
man.
after 6 months, I then struggled to get to sleep when I was so tired. I went,
Sure.
I need to
Overtired.
sleep. Overtime. I need to sleep now. I couldn't sleep. So yes, that was the first sort of real scare of my
So that
health.
was a warning sign your body was
That was
giving
definitely,
you,
yeah,
but you
definitely.
still didn't even pay attention to it. I mean, you did, but you didn't.
I
Because you
did.
said you were still working, even though your doctor said you're not supposed to work as many hours. And you're like, okay, but I have to. And you
Yeah.
did.
Because
And
my value of my self-worth was in my job, I felt.
there you
And
go.
I've learned that is not the case, and I've learned it the hard way, and it took me a long time to see that. But I thought my role in life was to do these jobs and to do them really well, and that was of value. But when I started to I was learning lots. Don't get me wrong, I was learning tons,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a tough job. But I did decide. I actually wrote myself out of the job structure because I carried on, and then I just got to the stage where I just thought, you know what, I can't do this. This was a sign. This means I need to do something different. So we were having a restructure in the department, and I wrote my job out of it. I redesigned the structure of the department, and I just said no to my boss. I'm taking my role out, and they were like, oh well, I'm moving on, so maybe you want to kind of apply for the head of the whole department. And I was like, you know, when you think something, think, ooh, that's an opportunity. I want promotion and all the rest of it. And then I kind of looked back and I went, do you know what? It's just not worth it. It is not worth it, because I knew I'd be back to 5 days a week. I'd be working longer hours. Everybody, we weren't a popular department
Mm-hmm.
because we could have cause breaches and all sorts of problems. And I was like, do you know what? Life's just not worth that.
Yeah.
So I wrote myself out and I managed to get a job doing project management stuff, which I actually loved because, but again, it was fine. It was fine,
Yeah.
but I'd
Great.
gone, it was a sideways move, it wasn't upwards. So
Yeah.
I had that battle between taking a job that was not as stressful, or it could be stressful, but not in the same way, not as demanding in the same way, but I wasn't getting that promotion. So it was really kind of, I did have these wranglings between health and less stress and doing
Yeah.
something more that I enjoyed and getting that promotion. But I took the other option and I actually loved doing that work. But I was still always feeling like I wanted to move up somehow.
Yeah.
So again, I
But
went back to working hard, but a little bit smarter. A little bit smarter doing something I enjoyed more.
fast forward to the moment when you decided I'm tired of living with everything just being fine. And you had shared with me also that moment when you were standing in your office looking around going, is this it? Is this
Yeah,
what I don't want to do this for the next 10
yeah.
years?
Yeah, and from the job I just talked about, that's probably another 7 years onwards when I had that moment. So I carried on doing these jobs. We kept getting restructured. I thought I was getting that promotion, and it kept getting taken away. I then got a mentor and a coach, and thought I need to do something different. I'm not getting anywhere. I had a conversation with my manager, and he said, "There's no place for you in this department." And I was like, I work in finance, I'm an accountant, I've done this for years, I can do your job. And then I thought, that's the problem. That's the problem, I can do your job. And I went, there is a place. I says, but you're sat in it. And I was like kind of almost cheering in my head. I was like,
Yeah.
yay! And he was like, yeah, but I'm not going anywhere. And I was like, right, that's me. I need to move. I need to move. So I went and did get another job. I worked a bit in London. Again, it was a transformation type project management role, and I really enjoyed that. And I worked with better people. But then we came back, and I was back up to York, which was where I kind of just live outside of York. And I was looking across the office, and the job was changing again. This management team was changing again, and it was up. And I just looked and I thought, is this it? Now, I've had so many health issues on and off in the last 10 years, operations and various other things, and I thought, is this it? Is this really what I've got for the next 20 years? And I'm like, do you know, I don't want this. Just don't want this. I'd been hankering after the wanting a promotion for so long, and then I just had this moment of, I don't really want this. I'm sick. I don't want to play the politics. I don't want to play the games that you have to play to get on. I don't want to be nice to people I don't respect and like. I don't want to work with people who are driving me nuts. I don't want to be kept in a position that they know I do a good job. I'm a safe pair of hands. I'll get the job done and I'll get it done well. I'm better than this, and I'm worth more than this. And I really wanted to make a difference more directly with people. I've always managed teams and developed teams, but some of my ideas in teams, the bosses that I've had have all been a bit, oh no, we can't do that. Oh no, we're
Yeah, that's not how we do things here.
not how we do things here. So I just didn't have the freedom to be creative and and have fun and all the rest of the things that I wanted to do and that I was really looking forward to doing. And I just thought, this cannot be it. I need to think differently. I need to do something different.
Did you know what that was? Or did you just know this isn't it? I don't know what it is, but it's not this. Or did you actually have an idea of this is where I want to go? This is what I would like better.
So
and how did you get there?
Yeah, for a few years I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was kind of, oh, well, what am I going to do? I've done accounts, I've done change management in finance, I've run system, I've done so many different things, and I thought, where do I go next? And I was racking my brains, and then they put us on a course where they introduced coaching, and I thought, oh, I did this about 10 years ago. I did some of this 10 years ago, and I really loved it. And doing the course, and it was only a couple of days, but it kind of, I thought, this is what I love. I really enjoy this. And I was also I'd sort of moved up to chairing the Women's Network that was about 300 people. And I came out of one of the sessions that we'd organised, and it was so fun. And I could hear the women going, "Oh, that was fantastic. That was great. I really enjoyed that. We don't normally get anything like that. It's so great that these women put these things on for us." And I was like, I just turned around to one of my colleagues and said, "Oh, I could do this every day, you know." And I kind of didn't think about it at the time, but then when I was sat in these coaching sessions on this training course, I was like, I had that epiphany, and I walked past it. Why did I walk past it? I think
You weren't ready yet.
Possibly weren't ready yet, and it was something like you've trained so hard to be an accountant. You go through years of exams and all the rest of it, and it was like, can I just give that up? Do I want to give that up? And it was almost like that sense of loss. And he's like, but then I sort of realised that actually that whole thing of studying, and that took me to where I am now, and then
Exactly.
now I can move on. That it served its purpose for 28 years of my life. Now I've got a different purpose. I want to make a difference for these women, and we had men coming as well, who want to be the best that they can be. They want to get ahead in life. They want to live a life of their choosing, and not have to put up with somebody else's version of what their life should be.
Right.
And
like you kind of did for all those years.
Like I did, for all those years,
Yeah. And I can understand too where you're coming from in being hesitant to want to let go of that, because it's history. It's safe. It almost feels like, well, I don't want to throw out those past 25 years. I've invested so much of myself in them. But then turning it around the way you're saying, like looking at it and saying, okay, it's not really throwing it away. It's contributed to helping me get to where I am today. I can build on that, but build in a different direction.
Definitely. And I'm using all the skills that I've learned in my new business now as well. So, but the coaching, it was the people, it was the development, it was also the inequalities that I've seen over my career for women, and hearing as some of my clients, when I'm coaching them, and some of the stories they come out with, I'm just sat there going, we need to do more. I need to help these people, because they're brilliant people. They're very capable. They've just lost their way a little bit, and they've lost their confidence, and we need to help them. I need to help them find that, because if I can make a change, and I haven't, I suppose, sometimes people say, oh, it is a really big change, and I think, oh, well, is it really a big change? But I suppose it is. I've left a very well-paid corporate job where I got bonuses and pensions and discounts on products, and I was a senior manager, and it's kind of, I've read all that security, and the security for my family, and I've just kind of walked away from it to set up my own business, because the purpose of seeing these people and knowing that they can be on and have what they want if they're just willing to spend a little bit of time on themselves, figuring it out. I can help them support, do that, and then they can kind of go, well, do you know what? I know what decisions I need to make now, and I'm going to take them, because I've seen how it can be. I've realised I can do more. I've realised I'm capable of having a life that I'm interested in, that serves me, serves my family, and doesn't put me under all this strain. It isn't dictated to me by somebody else, and therefore, that's that to me. If I can help people do that's like, I'm fulfilled in that way. And I think the fulfillment side was what I was missing.
Yes.
I mean, I was helping, yes, I turned systems around. Yes, I delivered projects. Yes, but it was the people side that I was missing.
Right.
I helped teams. I grew my teams and grew my staff, but it was just something. I wanted to do something a little bit more life-changing for people.
Right. You weren't touching people necessarily individually in such an impactful way, and showing them the possibilities of what could be.
Yeah.
In going back again too, in part because it sounds like you were working for managers and companies that weren't open to possibilities. They were only open, or not even open, they were only seeing what we have always done.
Yeah.
And not open to what we could do.
Yeah, and there's always we can't, there's the cost thing always comes in. It's always
Sure.
about saving money. So, that goes ahead of a lot of things. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of these companies have brilliant policies and some people have done really well in them.
Yeah.
But some of them are more willing to kind of take the route that is expected of them rather than the route they want to take. So
Right.
yeah, everybody said, "Oh, you have to sell the soul to the devil." The higher you got, that's how it was seen. And
Yeah. And then you weren't willing to do that
through,
anymore.
no,
Yeah.
definitely not. I just thought, no, this is life's for going out and enjoying. I lost one of my best friends last year. She was 48. I lost my dad when he was 45. And I'm like, you've
Yeah.
got you've got to take control of your own life. You've got to kind of stop waiting for somebody else to help you out. You've got to be clear about who you are, what you want, and then get support to get it. That's where your support comes in, as well as find out who you are as well. Because a lot of people, we all sit there and go, "Oh, I don't know what my skills are. I don't know what my strengths are. I don't know." And it's because we're so bombarded with managers and other people saying, "Oh, you haven't done that right," or "No, that wasn't good enough." I mean, I used to have a manager who used to give me a piece of work on 5:30 on an evening, just as I was going out the door. He'd be ringing me at 8 o'clock in the morning saying, "Have you done it yet?" And he wouldn't even give me full instructions of what to do. And I'd be on the train platform saying, "Yes, I'm on it, I'm doing it." I'd be writing bits on the train, I'd get in, I'd finish it off, hand it to him, and then he'd red pen it. He'd write all over it and I go, "Well, if you just sat down with me,
Right.
told
Right.
told me what you wanted, but
Yeah.
this is just
And
not
and
working."
this is how your life was going, and you didn't think like, this is crazy. But
No,
once
you're
you
so in
stop
it.
to, right,
Yeah,
right.
you're so
Once you
in
can
it.
step back, and this is what you're doing with your clients, and what I'm doing with my clients in the F Being Fine program, is helping them step back and see what's going on, and hear that voice inside of them that is, that you listen to finally, that was telling you what is your truth. What is true for you, not what everybody else is telling you
Tell me
you
what is
should be
true.
doing or
Yeah.
pursuing or whatever. What is
Yeah.
your truth?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
my dad wasn't the most responsible person in the world, but my mum was, and I think I kind of learnt from her that we have to be responsible. You have to make sure you can pay your mortgage and your bills, and I was so responsible all the time, taking the responsible options. But it's hard work, because
Yeah.
sometimes you have to make decisions that are not necessarily going to make you happy, and I think we all have to do that to some extent. But when you're constantly doing that all the time at the cost of a little bit of fun, a little bit of happiness,
Yeah.
I didn't have the balance right at all, and
Right. You're
did.
sacrificing who you are in order to be, yes, we want, because I have that same tendency of I'm very responsible at sometimes to my own detriment, because then I don't I don't take time to have fun or relax because I have to do all these things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
I see so many women like that now,
Yeah.
the responsibilities of a family, and, making things happen, and just, living daily life is just so full on.
yeah.
It's just, people just don't have creating that space to just, like you say, stand back and go, is this really
And
what I
that's
want?
what happens, though, is what you just mentioned. I think when we get to this point in our lives and our parents are passing away, or our friends, like you just mentioned, your friend 48, we start looking around and going, all right, you know what? There's not a lot of time here. I don't know how much time I have left. And even if I have 25, 35, 40 more years, who knows? That still, the past 40 years have gone by so quickly.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What do I want to be doing? Like, being intentional about how we spend that precious time. And, because we all hear that time is short, and that we have to value, appreciate what you have kind of thing. But until you start seeing it firsthand, we hear
Yeah.
it as a platitude.
Yeah.
But then when it's your friend, your parents, you're like, oh, wait, now it has meaning.
Yeah.
Now I need to pay attention.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when
Yeah.
I had the blood clot, I wrote a bucket list, and I was like, I started writing down, and each year, I just generally add to it when I see it, and trying to get more intentional again about the choices that I make. You've only got so much time, you've only got so many resources and funds and money and everything to do what you need to do or want to do. So why don't make decisions? And I have this thing about not going back to same places or watch the same films over and over again. My husband can sit and watch the same film about 17 times, and I'm like, no, there's more to life to experience.
Yeah.
So I very much if I've written it down, then I'm more likely to do it. And there was one where it was like I wanted to see Adele in concert. And I managed to get tickets. They were very expensive, but I got tickets, and I spent the money that I'd saved on that, and I took my girls and my husband, and we had an absolutely amazing time. And that was so precious to share those moments with my girls. That's worth so much more than having a fancy car on the driveway or a huge house or and we get caught up in this materialistic world of we need to have so many things to show who we are, how well we've done, what we've achieved. And actually, it's about being content and happy within yourself and those experiences. And I think the younger ones now, one of my daughters 23, and she's all about the experience. She's like, I don't want to be tied down by a house and a mortgage, and I want to go out and see life and see the world and experience things and make memories. And I just think, oh, thank goodness. I wish I'd been able to have that conversation with you earlier, because good for you, yeah. But then I still get that, oh, are you sure you can afford this? Oh, do you know, and that my old habits come in.
We have to fight that off all the time.
We do.
Yeah,
But it's just, and that's what I want. I want to, we talked a little bit about, I want to do retreats in France for women.
Yes.
And, my husband retired from the fire service 2 years ago. I've started my own business last year. And we're now in a position where we've got so much more freedom to make our choices, to do what we want, when we want, work with who we want, and work how we want. And, and that's something that we're working towards together, is to try and find somewhere, go and live abroad, try something different, try and learn the language, and and it's all going to be an experience and a journey. And I think if I didn't do it now, I think I would regret it. So it's kind of, try and do things that excite you and bring you joy, and they might bring you a lot of pain as well, because I'm sure moving to France is not that easy, and all the forms filling in foreign languages is going to be really tough. But if I don't do it, I won't know, will I? If I don't try, I won't know. And there's nothing wrong. Yeah. I don't believe in the word failure either.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
If it doesn't work out, I've tried and I've had a go. Yeah. And I just move on to the next thing. What is the next thing that I'd really love to try and enjoy? And like you say, because, it's about the experiences, it's about sharing and making memories with people that you love and have fun with.
Yeah, and living without regrets. So, we hear about people not dying with regrets. So you don't want to die with regrets, but the only way you don't die with regrets is to live without regrets. It starts with living without regrets so that you don't die with regrets.
Exactly.
And that's what we're talking about. And I love that. And this is such a great place to end our conversation. But before we go, what is your song? What is your hype song that you listen to when you need an extra boost of energy? What's the one?
I listen to the Pointer Sisters, and I'm so excited. And there's something about it that's like, I'm so excited, I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. And that last line sort of sums it up, is that I think I'm about to let go of everything that might have been holding me back from really having a fulfilling life. And I'm just going to go for it and I'm just going to try it, and you know, I'm going to see where it goes, and fingers crossed it'll all work out, and if it doesn't, I'll try something different. So
I
yeah,
love it. That's such a great attitude. And I love that song because, yeah, now it's in my head, and we'll put a link in the show notes. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners about how they could get in touch with you? What, anything else that before we...
So, I mean, I have a website, so it's www.joannecoaching.com. So yeah, I'm on there. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. So you know, I'm on all the social media platforms. So just get in touch with me. You can email me at joanne@joannecoaching.com. So yeah,
we'll have links to all of that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for joining me today on Fine is a 4-letter word.
You're very welcome. Very welcome indeed. It's been lovely being here.